The deep space dreadnought Varel Crown drifted through a violet nebula like a wounded beast. Lightning rippled inside the storm clouds outside the hull. The ship's engines struggled against the pressure of the charged gas. In the main engineering deck, the human engineer Marcus Hale worked alone. He had been assigned there by the Galactic Council as part of an uneasy alliance between humanity and the alien Empire of Viril. Most of the alien crew did not trust him. They called him soft-skinned, heat-blooded, reckless. Marcus did not mind. He had served in the Terran fleet before. Suspicion was easier to face than open hostility. What made him uneasy was the silence, the kind of silence that filled the air before systems failed. Then the warning sirens began to scream. A cascade of red lights flared above the control panels. Power lines overloaded. The ship shook as if struck by something huge. Sparks burst across the wall. Marcus rushed to the main console and started typing commands, trying to isolate the surge. Core imbalance. Plasma feed unstable, he muttered. Damn it. Not now. He tapped his comlink. Engineering 2 bridge theirs. A reactor spike. I need authorization to shut down the main conduit. Static answered him. The nebulous storm had swallowed all transmissions. He was on his own. The air grew hotter, filled with a metallic taste. Marcus tore off his gloves and reached into the access panel to switch the emergency regulators by hand. Electricity bit into his fingertips, but the readings calmed for a moment. He sighed in relief until the door behind him hissed open. He turned sharply. Commander Sareth of Virel entered the chamber. Tall and graceful, armored in silver that glowed faintly from the storm's energy. Her eyes shone with the golden hue of her kind, bright and unreadable. Every step she took echoed with authority. Human, she said, her voice low but commanding. You are in the heart of my ship. Explain why the core trembles. Marcus straightened. The storm's interference overloaded the reactor stabilizers. I'm keeping the plasma feed from collapsing. Her gaze moved across the consoles, then back to him. You act without orders. I act to keep us alive, he answered calmly. Orders can wait. A flash of lightning outside the viewport threw light across the room. For a moment her expression softened, just a trace of surprise. Then another wave hit the ship. The deck trembled, and the ceiling lights burst in showers of sparks. The smell of burning insulation filled the air. Sareth stepped toward the main reactor chamber. Blue energy flared from her armored joints. Marcus realized the electromagnetic storm was overcharging the conductive layers of her suit. Your armor is absorbing the storm, he said quickly. It'll ground through you. She glanced at him. This armor is made for battle, not for storms. It's made of metal, he insisted. You'll fry alive if you keep it on. She raised a brow. You presume to give commands to your superior? I presume to save your life, Marcus replied. For a moment, neither moved. The storm roared outside, the deck humming beneath them. Then Sareth sighed, a slow exhale that sounded almost like surrender. She touched her chest plate. Magnetic locks disengaged with a sharp click, piece by piece. She released the armor shoulder guards, gauntlets, breastplate till the polished pieces fell to the floor in dull metallic thuds. Underneath, she wore a layer of thin, energy-woven fabric, designed to shield vital organs but not conduct electricity. Pale markings glowed faintly along her skin, the bioluminescent veins of her species. When she moved, the light pulsed with her heartbeat. Marcus looked away out of respect, focusing on the control panel. But Sareth spoke again. Why do you avert your eyes, human? Because you trusted me, he said. I won't abuse that. Her lips curved slightly. Most humans would stare. I'm not most, Marcus said, and his hands kept working. The reactor numbers climbed dangerously again. He shouted over the noise. I need to vent the excess plasma manually. The automatic valves are jammed. Sareth nodded. Tell me what to do. You'll need to hold the conduit release switch at the same time I stabilize the core field, he said. If we're off by even a second, the explosion will vaporize this section. Her eyes met his. Then we won't be off. Together they moved. The reactor glowed with blinding blue light. Energy crackled through the floor grates, making the air vibrate. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead and shouted the count. On 3. 1, 2, 3. He slammed his hand on the control pad. She pulled the release lever. A deep roar filled the chamber as the plasma surged through the vent shafts and shot out into space. The lights flickered once, twice, and then steadied. The readings dropped into the safe zone. Silence fell again. It's broken only by the hum of the reactor returning to balance. Marcus leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Sareth stood beside him, her skin glowing faintly, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, she crossed the room toward him. Each step echoed softly. The light from the reactor bathed her in a pale blue glow. When she reached him, she tilted her head, studying his face. Then she smiled, a dangerous, confident smile that spoke of challenge, not seduction. It was the look of a warrior acknowledging another's courage. You did not falter, she said quietly. Not even when your heart raced. I've seen worse, Marcus said, though his pulse still thundered in his ears. Humans, she murmured, almost to herself. Always pretending you do not fear, he smiled faintly. Maybe we just get used to fear. Her gaze lingered a moment longer. Then she turned toward the fallen armor pieces. Your kind fascinates me. You stand in storms that should destroy you, and somehow call it another day's work. It's what we do. She picked up one of the armor plates and looked at the scorch marks along its edges. Your presence aboard my ship was ordered by the Council, not chosen by me. I did not expect you to be useful. Guess I surprised you, he said with a hint of humor. Yes, she admitted.
You did?
The intercom crackled faintly, communication returning at last. A voice reported that the ship was stable, but several outer decks had suffered minor damage. Sareth answered with quick, efficient orders. When the line went silent again, she turned back to Marcus. You saved the Virile crown, she said, and you saw me, as no one else has. Remember that, human. Her tone carried warning and meaning both. Marcus nodded, unsure whether she meant it as gratitude or challenge. She gathered her armor pieces and walked toward the exit. Before stepping through the door, she looked back once more. That same dangerous smile touched her lips, the smile of someone who had tested an enemy and found a worthy ally. You did not look away, she said softly, echoing her earlier words. Perhaps there is courage in your kind after all. Then she was gone. Marcus stood there for a long time, staring at the glowing reactor. The storm outside still flashed through the nebula, but the ship was safe. He wondered if she would ever trust him again, or if this night had changed everything between them. Later, when the power crews arrived, they found scorch marks across the floor where her armor had fallen. One of them asked, "What happened here, human?" Marcus smiled tiredly. "Just a little storm," he said, "and a commander who doesn't back down." As he left the chamber, he caught his reflection in the glass, a man covered in grease, sweat, and a few burns, but alive. Behind his reflection, the faint blue glow of the reactor pulsed like a heartbeat. For the first time since joining the Virile Crown, he felt something shift in the air. The crew had seen the humans survive beside their commander. Respect would come slowly, but it would come that night. As the ship drifted beyond the nebula, Sareth watched the logs of the reactor storm. Her fingers hovered over the image of the human on the monitor. She remembered his steady eyes, the way he refused to step back, even when energy arcs flashed inches from his face. She remembered his words, simple, human words that carried strange weight. Because you trusted me? Trust. It was a word few in her empire used. Yet it lingered in her mind like an ember refusing to die. When she closed the log, the reflection of her face on the screen wore that same dangerous smile again, the smile she had given him. It wasn't the smile of command or power. It was curiosity, interest, the spark that precedes change. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched into long lines as the Virile Crown entered warp. The storm faded behind them. But somewhere deep in the heart of the ship, 2 lives, 1 alien, 1 human, had already begun to alter course. The Virile Crown drifted out of the violet nebula into calmer space. The storm was gone, but the memory of what had happened in the reactor bay still burned across the ship's rumor channels. Everywhere Marcus went, alien eyes followed him. Crew members paused when he entered rooms, whispering words in their own tongue that he didn't need a translator to understand. Human, Stormborn. The one who stood with the commander, Marcus pretended not to hear. He had work to do repairs on the power grid, recalibrating the damaged plasma conduits. Still, the silence in every hallway felt different now. It wasn't hostility anymore. It was something sharper, mixed with curiosity and disbelief. When he reached the lower deck, he found the ship's quartermaster waiting for him. The alien was tall, with skin the color of old bronze and 4 black eyes that blinked in pairs. "Commander Sareth requests your presence in the war room," the quartermaster said. Immediately, Marcus wiped his hands on a cloth and nodded. "On my way?" The war room was a place he rarely saw. Circular, filled with floating holograms of star systems and threat markers. It pulsed with the quiet rhythm of the ship's engines. Commander Sareth stood at the center, wearing her armor again, polished, repaired, and shining. Her golden eyes reflected the starlight. "Human," she greeted. "The Council sent us a new assignment. A hostile fleet approaches the border worlds. Their signal interference makes our targeting systems blind. I require your expertise." Marcus frowned. "You want me to fix your weapons array?" "I want you to do more than fix it," she said. "I want you to see what no one else can see. Humans think differently. You find chaos and call it possibility." He stepped closer to the hologram, studying the flickering patterns. "Their jamming field's adaptive," he said. "If I feed your sensors random human noise music, static old-world code set might confuse their feedback loops. Would it work?" "It might," he admitted. "Or it could overload our own sensors." Her smile returned, the same dangerous smile from the reactor chamber. "Then it is a perfect plan." "Prepare your team." "My team?" Marcus asked. "I don't have one." "You do now," she said. "3 of my officers will assist you." They volunteered. Marcus blinked in surprise. Volunteered? That was new. Hours later, in the engineering bay, he met the 3 volunteers: Lieutenant Raz, a communications expert; Manek Nira, a quiet technician with transparent skin; and Ensign Cole, a young navigator whose curiosity about humans seemed endless. Cole asked the first question before Marcus could even start explaining. "Is it true you stood in the heart of the reactor while it raged?" Marcus smiled slightly. "Something like that." "And the commander-she removed her armor before you?" Marcus paused, then nodded once. "To save the ship?" Cole's eyes widened. "No one has ever seen her without it," Ross snapped. "Enough questions. Let him work." Marcus chuckled quietly and leaned over the main console. "All right," he said. "We'll run signal tests using human audio files. Don't worry if it's dangerous, just strange." He played an old Terran recording static, mixed with the faint echo of a guitar. The sound filled the bay. The aliens froze, unsure how to react. Marcus smiled at their puzzled faces. "That's music," he explained. "Something humans use to think better when everything's falling apart." They exchanged uncertain glances, but no one argued. The tests began. After 14 hours, the system finally stabilized. The hybrid human-alien code began to pierce the interference field in simulations. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes. "We might just have something," he said. "If it holds up in combat, we'll see the enemy before they see us." Commander Sareth arrived just as he said it. She looked at the glowing display and then at him. "You have done well." Marcus gave a tired smile. "We're not finished yet." She studied him for a long moment. "You speak as if victory is a burden. Usually costs more than it gives," he said softly. Her expression changed. Something unreadable flickered there. "You have seen too many battles." "I've seen enough to know that survival isn't the same as peace." Sareth turned away, her hands clasped behind her back. "Your people hide wisdom behind simple words," she said. "That is why others fear you. Maybe they just don't like being reminded that we survive by accident and stubbornness," Marcus said. She looked back over her shoulder. "And yet somehow, that stubbornness saved my ship." Their eyes met. The hum of the engines filled the silence between them. For a second, the distance between commander and engineer disappeared, replaced by a quiet understanding neither could explain. Then the alarm lights flared. Red again. "Enemy fleet emerging from warp," shouted a voice over the comms. Sarith's composure turned to steel. "Battle stations. All crew to positions." Marcus ran after her to the command bridge. Screens lit up with incoming signals, dozens of enemy ships spreading across the dark void like a net. Their jamming fields shimmered, twisting the stars into a blur. Sarith pointed to Marcus. "Activate your human interference algorithm." He sat at the console, fingers flying over keys. "Engaging in 3, 2, 1. The bridge filled with faint static, the ghostly hum of human noise. For a moment, nothing changed. Then one by one, the enemy signals began to flicker on the tactical display. "It's working," Ras reported from communications. "We can see them." Sarith's lips curved again. "Target their flagship." "Firing sequence ready," said the gunnery officer. But before Sarith could give the order, a new wave of interference hit them, stronger, sharper. The consoles sparked. The enemy had adapted faster than expected. Marcus gritted his teeth. "They're countering my signal. Can you block it?" Sarith demanded. "Maybe," he said, "but I'll need to reroute through the reactor core again." Her gaze locked on his. "That nearly killed you last time?" He gave a half smile. "Then let's make it a habit." She hesitated just long enough for him to see concern flicker in her eyes. Then she nodded. "Go!" Marcus sprinted from the bridge, racing through the corridors as the ship shook under enemy fire. Lights flickered. Crew members dived for cover. He reached the reactor chamber and began overriding safety locks. Energy fields roared around him like living fire. Come on, he muttered, typing commands. "You can do this." The door opened behind him, and Commander Sarith stepped inside. "I told you to reroute, not to face the storm again alone." "I need someone to hold the stabilizer coil," he said. "You're the only one who knows how." Without hesitation, she joined him at the console. They worked in perfect rhythm, now no words, only movement. She trusted him completely, and he trusted her. Outside, explosions thundered through the hull, the reactors reaching threshold. He warned. "Do it," she said. He slammed the command key. The ship's system screamed. White light filled the chamber as their combined code pulsed through every circuit. For a heartbeat, it felt like the entire universe went silent. Then the noise vanished. The ship steadied. Sarith opened the comm. "Bridge report. Enemy fleet disabled," shouted Ross's voice. Their systems just went dark. Marcus leaned back against the wall, breathing heavily. Sarith turned to him, her face glowing in the fading blue light. For the second time since they'd met, she crossed the room toward him slowly, her armor humming from the excess charge. When she stopped in front of him, her voice was quiet. "You risked everything again." "So did you," he said. "I guess we're even." Her expression softened, and that same dangerous smile appeared gentler this time, but no less intense. "You humans," she said, "you fight storms as if you were born inside them." He shrugged, trying to hide the exhaustion in his voice. "Maybe we were." She studied him in silence. Then she lifted her gauntlet and touched the back of his hand, a brief, electric gesture of acknowledgement. "Your courage has been tested," she said, "and it has not failed." After the battle, the Virel crown drifted among the wreckage of the enemy fleet. Sparks floated through space like falling stars. The crew gathered in the main hall, waiting for Sarith's debrief. When she appeared, Marcus stood at the back, uncertain if he should be there. Sarith's voice carried across the hall. "Our victory came through unity," she said. "Through the logic of machines and the madness of a human mind. Remember this, courage is not bound by species." Every head turned toward Marcus. For the first time, they did not look at him as an outsider. They looked at him as one of them. Later, when the hall emptied, Sarith found him standing by the viewport, watching the drifting debris. "You don't like celebrations?" she asked. "I like quiet," he said. "Gives me space to think." "About what?" "About what comes next." She stepped beside him. "You have earned a place here, Marcus Hale, But know this, every test leads to another. The Council will see our success. They will send new orders." He glanced at her. "And you?" "I will decide whether I obey them," she said softly. "Perhaps your kind is rubbing off on me." He smiled faintly. "That could be dangerous." "That," she said, her golden eyes gleaming, "is why I smile." The stars outside burned bright and cold. Somewhere far ahead lay another mission, another storm. But for the first time, Marcus felt he wasn't facing it alone. The alien commander who once doubted him now walked beside him, her armor reflecting the faint light of distant suns. He didn't know what the future held. But one thing was certain: when danger came again, she would cross the room toward him with that same dangerous smile, and he would be ready.